that why you were here?
This is it. Don't get scared.
Welcome back to a brand new Flick Pick live show. It's 2025, and it's time to ask me anything and everything you want. So grab some popcorn and something cold to drink, and let's just dive into the questions. And by the way, before we do all of that, how are you guys doing? What year is it? I don't know. I might be suffering from seasonal depression. I'm not quite sure, because every time Christmas comes about, I always just become really introverted, and I want to hibernate in my little cave and surround myself with things that make me happy. And what are those things? Well, for the last week, me and my wife have been watching Lord of the Rings, the entire trilogy, not the Hobbit films. I'm talking about the real trilogy here, Lord of the Rings. But I savor the flavor. Every night, we usually watch half of one of the movies because that's still an hour and a half. But it's really taken me to my happy place. And what is my happy place? I'm not quite sure if it's the Shire or Mordor, but maybe it's somewhere in between. But I just know there's a creepy little creature beside me named Gollum who has big bug eyes, and he just wants my precious. But nevertheless, how are you guys doing? And it's good to be here once again. And really, what this isn't a live show about some weird guy wearing a Jurassic Park hoodie talking about movies. No. This is group therapy, where we use movies as an excuse to come together and communicate our thoughts and feelings on things. And occasionally we do chime in about movies and whatnot. So nevertheless, I'm glad to see you guys once again in the new year. It's 2025. How much worse can things get? Well, pretty bad if you live in Los Angeles right now. And I hope everyone, if you are watching from the West Coast and you are amongst the fires over there, stay safe, man. I got a buddy who lives there, and he almost lost his house because of those wildfires. So, also, I've heard some conspiracy theories, but nevertheless, let's just dive into the questions. Let's not get too dark or deep, because Maria says, "What's up, John?" Well, not much is up. Actually, there's a lot up. There's a lot I want to talk about. It's been like 2 weeks. We haven't made any videos. We haven't made any live streams. I've just been sort of, collecting my thoughts, being very introspective, and sipping on delicious caffeinated beverage. Actually, that's a blatant lie. Please forgive my sins. This is just a Sprite Zero. There's no caffeine in it. So with all that said, the first question comes from the 50% Doctor Who podcast, and his question is, John, Better Man is amazing. You're missing out. That's a great question, and I'd like to talk in depth about the film. What is it called again? Better Man. Yes. The Robbie Williams biopic. Now, do I know who Robbie Williams is? No, I absolutely do not. Do I care who Robbie Williams is? No, I don't. And that's fair, because he doesn't care who I am. But the difference here is he's a millionaire and he can go on with his life, and I'm sure he'll be happy. The thing about Better Man is I've had the ability to watch that film at home in my underwear on a screener for the last 3.5 weeks. And I haven't been able to get it up to even push play to watch it. Now, there's been many of other films I've enjoyed watching over the last 3 or 4 weeks, but this isn't one of them. And I just don't know if I'm ever going to bring myself to watch the film. And what really throws me off, don't get me wrong, I don't mind watching a musical biopic about a singer or songwriter I know very little about. I really don't have a problem with that. It's just the gimmick that the movie's utilizing, where it's completely Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. And I just don't know if I can bring myself to watch 2 hours of that in a film. But then again, maybe it's phenomenal. But also, I'll probably never find out because I'm not going to watch it. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Robbie Williams or whoever it is, whoever it's about. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. But anyway, those are my thoughts on the movie. But I'm glad you enjoyed it, man. And speaking of movies I've recently watched, just to give you guys some quick backstory on what I've been doing for the last 2 weeks, besides celebrating Christmas, and I hope you guys all had a great Christmas and a phenomenal holiday, and you hung out with your family members, and you talked about the good times and whatever people do during Christmas. I'm not even quite sure anymore, But what I did is I watched a lot of movies, and I watched one film I have not seen in almost 20 years, and that was 28 Days Later, because we have the new one 28 years later coming out next summer. And I did vividly remember how bad that film has always looked. Not from a cinematography standpoint, just from an actual what they shot that film was they shot that film on mini digital videotapes, I believe, in the early 2000s, which was one of those technologies for filmmaking that was really in between at the time. And it just looks like shit. Let's all be honest. It looks like grainy VHS quality visuals when you watch that movie back. And I always remembered that vividly. Even watching it in the theater, I was like, this looks like it was shot on my camcorder. But when you watch it 20 years later, it's almost jarring for the first 10 minutes. And I was like, this feels like I'm watching a VHS tape on my 4K TV. And then after about 20 minutes, my brain finally settled in and I got acclimated to what I was looking at. And I sort of enjoyed it. I was like, this kind of almost adds a little bit of flavor to it, like digital noise flavor. So there's that. And if you guys have not seen 28 Days Later in a long time, go back and watch it and just tell me how much it hurts your eyeballs for the first 20 minutes. And then you forget about it. And it sort of reminded me of a time in life where when I used to watch VHS tapes of movies as a stupid little kid, and there was tracking issues, and every once in a while, because we had a shitty VHS player, you had to go up to it with a pencil and kind of like shove the pencil in there. You open up the flap where the VHS inserts into, you take the pencil and you wiggle it out and move it, and if there's some tracking issues, and sometimes that shit gets jammed in there, then you got to take another pencil and have two pencils in the VHS player to pop that shit out. Okay, my parents weren't going to buy a new VHS player. We had to make do with what we had. But with all that said, there was always tracking issues. And when you grew up in a time period or an era of VHS, you just become accustomed to it. It's second nature. You see a little tracking issue and some snow, and you're just like, oh, that's nothing. You know, it's not an issue until it encompasses the entire screen with tracking issues. And that's when you know you have a problem. Or a really shitty VHS tape that you're renting from Blockbuster, and you just want to call up and scream at the manager. I remember my father doing that as well. But nevertheless, where was I going with that? Oh, yes. We used to deal with watching films at home with like white staticky lines that just popped up randomly and moved away. And that was just common. That was commonplace. I couldn't imagine living in that life again. But then again, things were so much more simple, weren't they? I miss it. But I don't miss tracking issues on a VHS player. I'll tell you that. All right. Also known as a VCR. All right. Let's dive into your questions here. You guys are killing it already. And in fact, this is it. Don't get scared now. Jordan Kudajar, how's it going, buddy? We got Anthony in here. I'm watching Lioness right now. Big fan of Taylor Sheridan's work. I love the gritty vibe that he brings to his shows. I have not watched that. I've heard good things. I haven't got around to watching it, but I do have a screenshot of it on my phone because I wanted to try to remind myself to eventually watch it one day. And that's how I remember anything in life. I take a screenshot of it. And eventually I will scroll back 575 screenshots later when I'm taking a crap one day and go, oh yeah, I wanted to watch that. But speaking of shows, I was going to savor the flavor on this for when we weren't doing a sloppy Ask Me Anything live show, when I had an actual structured live show. But I did in fact watch Squid Games Season 2. And I liked it so much that I instantly went back and watched Squid Game Season 1 and watched it in one day. I had nothing better to do, and I just sat there in my underwear watching it, being immersed, and liking it more the second time than I did the first time. But real quick, to, I guess, skim the surface on my thoughts on Squid Game Season 2. Overall, I really did enjoy it. Now, does it kind of leave you with blue balls on a cliffhanger? Yes, but the good news is, supposedly, we will be getting Season 3 of Squid Games potentially next summer, late June, maybe early fall. And that's fine by me. But I did enjoy the seven episodes we got in Season 2. And my favorite episode in that season, and I won't spoil anything, was the pentathlon mini games episode. And that was everything I've ever wanted to see from Squid Games. Essentially, you have 5 players, and they're in a 6-legged race around a little circle rainbow. and they have to work together. And there's one sequence during these events where they play this early 1990s Korean metal music, and I'm in love with it. I've been listening to it on Spotify almost daily. It's so uplifting. It's called, let me look it up here because I'm terrible with remember. I know the sound of it, but it's called 2U, right? 2U. Yeah, okay. Yeah, the song's called 2U by Shinhei Chul. But it's an awesome song. It has like this really uplifting sound to it. Almost sounds like it could belong in like a Rocky movie if Rocky was from South Korea or something. Then again, I'd like to see that movie. But nevertheless, I quite enjoyed the season. I like the twist. I like the turns. I like the new characters in the new season. And I like I especially like the new twist with what they do with Player One. I thought that was fun to watch. And also, I liked how the voting after each game has a bigger part to play in the actual game itself and throughout the season. Because I always thought that was the problem with Squid Game Season 1. I was like, okay, so after each game, if we vote to leave, all the money goes to the players who died? No. Screw them. They had their chance. But the fact that you can vote to leave after each game and then divvy up the money, I like that aspect of it. That makes more sense to me. That feels a bit more like cohesive in a way, as like an actual game I would go play. And did I say I would just go play Squid Games? Yes. But I'll tell you this, on the game with the dice, what is it, Kunji or Kanji, I would be dead. Everyone I know would be dead. No one I know has that much articulation with their fingers to be able to play that game. Absolutely. I don't know anyone has that much coordination, okay? And I know a guy who can juggle, and I don't think he could play that game. We'd all be dead. The only game I would play in the pentathlon would be where I just throw the rock at the other rock and hopefully it falls over. But then again, I'd probably miss that shit 7 times in a row and we'd all get shot to death. So nevertheless, I quite enjoyed Squid Games. Okay, those are my thoughts. Let's go to the next question here. And the next one comes from Better Call Maul, who says, "Hello, Johnny Thick Veins." I don't know what you're implying there, but I like it. Do you wish you were John Campea? Also, can you grace us with an impression of the man himself? Do I wish I were John Campea? I genuinely mean this when I say it. I don't. Maybe the only thing I would want some of his would be some of his success, I guess. But then I'm really not. Do I want to be? No, so I don't think I do want to be John Campea, you know? So with all that said, for our next main topic, now hear me out for a second. Now, I heard this from a studio exec, and listen, you guys know this. I love Man of Steel. I love it. Ann watches it every night with me, and we both love it. That's my John Campea impression. Let's go to the next question. I hope you enjoyed that. All right, the next one comes from... And speaking of Better Call Maul or Saul, I am currently rewatching that on season 5 now. I love that show. Mad Goose says, "John, did you bring the baby oil?" Oh yeah, I'm lubed up under this Jurassic Park hoodie. You just can't see it right now. How about a little shine down below? There you go. Not too much. Save that for the later. All right. To be honest with you, when it comes to lubing up, I miss those days. I miss those vascular, muscular days because I'm just getting fat. And I've probably gotten fatter in the last 3 weeks since the holidays than I have ever been. Because my wife, she's a master at making breakfast. So I've been eating bacon and potatoes and eggs and jelly toast. Oh, don't get me started on my jelly toast. But I've been eating that shit for the last 3 weeks, almost every day. I'm getting big, okay? I'm not going to lie to you. I need to hit the gym again. All right, let's go to the next one here. Robert Giacinta says, "Your live shows are like the late night booty call you didn't say no to. Here I am getting ready to sleep, and then I get the ring notification." Oh, I understand what you're... Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like everything in your body says you shouldn't do it. You don't need to do it. You think to yourself, have some self-control, maybe chug some water and slap yourself in the face and go back to bed. But we all have dreams and aspirations, and we never give up, and we never surrender. And what do? We get ourselves out of bed to make mistakes we're going to regret the next day. And that's what I like to say to all of you watching my live show right now. This is just a mistake you're going to regret tomorrow morning. But nevertheless, it's a fun time while it lasts, isn't it? Okay, let's go to the next let's go to the next question. But I do mean that, guys. Thank you for joining me. You won't regret this. No. This is a memory that's going to last a lifetime and a gift you give yourself that penicillin will never cure. But thanks for the question, man, and thanks for the comment. That does mean a lot, Robert. The movie rater Ahmad Khan says, Mel Gibson recently said in an interview that he hopes to begin shooting The Resurrection of the Christ with Jim Caviezel returning as Jesus next year. Are you excited for this film, John? I've seen Passion of the Christ one time, and I thought it was fine. I'm not a huge religious, I guess you could say religious fanatic. I feel like that was maybe not the right term, but I'm going to go with it just for now. And I would check it out. Yeah, I like me some Mel Gibson movies. And with all that said, the new one coming out where Mark Wahlberg is some bald dude in the back of a plane flying over Alaska, I think that's called like Flight Risk or something like that. That could either be the best or worst movie of January. And I'm hoping it's so bad that it's good, because Mark Wahlberg in that trailer just makes me want to laugh. It's just like looking at Mark Wahlberg with a haircut like that, looking all goofy. I just can't do it, but I want to see it. But Mel Gibson has directed some masterpieces, in my opinion. Braveheart, Apocalypto, which is, I truly believe, one of the most underrated films of all time. So I'll definitely check it out. And the funny thing that you mentioned that one clip from the Joe Rogan podcast, because I just watched that earlier today. So yeah, and I do want to listen to the entire podcast. So anyway, yeah, I'll check it out at some point. Is it one of my most anticipated movies? Probably not. All right, the next one comes from Night King 01. How's it going, man? I watched Transporter 2 the other day. Only you would start with that. Okay, here we go. I watched Transporter 2 the other day. I honestly don't know if that film is terrible or fun. It's entertaining and the fight scenes are great, but the CGI is terrible. I know you walked out on 2, but what are your thoughts on the first one? I thought Transporter 1 was a fine little Jason Statham action movie. Very simple, and I think that's what the Transporter movies should always be and should have stayed. Simple. In the sequel, where he gets in a car and his car has a bomb on the bottom of it, and he goes up some random ramp that exists for no other reason than doing this stunt. He drives up the ramp, his car does a barrel roll, he hits the tip of a crane with the bottom of his car that knocks off the little bomb on the bottom, and then he lands. And I thought to myself, would not just driving over like a curb or some obstruction in the road knock this bomb off? You wouldn't even have to, your tires wouldn't even need to leave the ground, right? Like a harsh speed bump would probably do the job. I get that it wouldn't be as entertaining, but it also wouldn't insult my intelligence to the degree that Transporter did, or Transporter 2 did, where I had to immediately just get up and leave the theater because I was like, I can't take this shit anymore. I just can't do it. Life is too short. I can't do this. So to answer your question on Transporter 2, yeah, it's bad. But the first one's cool. All right, the next one comes from Better Call Maul once again, who says, Johnny Blue Balls, do you think Superman will make $1 billion? I think it will. Oh yeah, I think Superman's making $1 billion. Absolutely. I mean, when you look at Superman just from a general audience perspective, I think it's been said that the Superman symbol is the second most identifiable symbol in existence, right beside the cross. So I think just out of a general curiosity, a lot of people are going to go see it. And listen, first of all, you're going to get everyone who wants a superhero movie, right? Because Superman is the ultimate superhero. You're going to get that demographic. Then you're going to get the legacy film goers because everyone knows of Superman. If you're 73 years old, you might have an interest in this movie, right? So And plus kids and families, and it definitely looks way more family oriented when it comes to like a comic book movie. It doesn't look desaturated and gloomy, and it doesn't look like Man of Steel is what I'm saying. And don't get me wrong, I love me some Man of Steel. I really do. I saw that movie in theaters like 5 times, gave it like an A. Highly recommend it. But when it comes to a tonal shift and change, I think the new Superman movie is going to cater to a wider demographic of people. I really do. So do I think it'll make $1 billion? I would be surprised if it didn't. All right. But then again, that's if the world economy doesn't collapse by then and Satan himself doesn't start oozing out of our toilets to take our souls. So there's one of two things that'll happen. That or Superman will make $1 billion. But then again, do we even give a shit if it does? Even if the movie's great. Even if it's good. And we all go see it and we like it. Unless you own shares in Warner Brothers and you're getting part of the profit, why do we want this soulless corporation to make so much money? So they can keep cranking out content for us to consume and pay them more money like the slaves we are? Well, yeah, absolutely. I guess that's called the film industry. And that's what I talk about on YouTube. So I hope it does make a lot of money. I just like to play devil's advocate. All right, let's go to the next one here. Mauricio says, John, I can't believe the Batman Part 2 is coming out only in 2027. 3 years to write a fucking script? It's borderline incompetence. Love you, man. Yeah, I think he just, I understand it to a certain degree, though. Maybe he just had writer's block. Matt Reeves, maybe he's very particular. He wants to get it right, wants to tell a good story. I understand all of those things. But also in the film industry, and I saw the Matt Reeves interviews talking about the holdups and delays, and maybe I'm reading too much into it, but I'm one of those people that read the nuance in between people's pauses when they speak, and everything inside of me is saying there's more at play here than he's saying. I genuinely feel like there are certain things he's being held accountable to that he doesn't want to interject into his screenplay. I feel like he has to make certain substitutions and add more things to maybe appease the new James Gunn universe of comic book movies. And I know these are two separate things. I know Batman takes place in its own universe, and James Gunn's universe of comic book shit takes place in another universe, and at some point we'll see a new Batman incarnation in that universe. But I just really feel like he had a plan in place, and he had to deviate from that to appease people. And maybe I could be wrong on that. Or maybe he just has writer's block and he's just taking a really long time and he procrastinates. And I can definitely understand that. But yeah, it's like, dude, just fucking type your ideas into ChatGPT, get a few other ideas you didn't think of, take the good ones, and let's just crank this shit out, man. I mean, come on, it can't get that complicated. You already got the groundwork down. We just need Batman to have another character arc, become the billionaire version of himself as Bruce Wayne. That's what we want to see, right? And then he fights another bad guy or two, and there's some kind of subplot in there and a romantic interest. Boom, bada boom, and you're done. Okay? And that's coming from a guy who's never wrote a screenplay, all right? All right. Hey, I'm just glad it's going to happen. Because up until 2 weeks ago, I thought it was 50-50 at best. So it looks like it's leaning towards the direction of happening. They say production's supposed to start this summer. If it does, okay, we're getting a new Batman movie. If production doesn't start by the end of this summer on Batman 2, I don't think that movie's ever happening. Those are just my quick thoughts. All right, let's go to the next one here. And the next one comes from Movies for Life, who says, watched The Long Kiss Goodnight for the first time recently. What a fun 90s action movie. Can't believe I hadn't seen it before. Yeah, Gina Davis in that movie is, well, I was going to say pure sex appeal, but then again, I stand by that because I remember thinking she was like super hot in that movie when I was like, I don't know, 10 years old when I saw it in the late 90s with Samuel L. Jackson. Anyway, I have not seen that movie in a very long time. And I want to go back and revisit it. I remember there's like a big shootout scene at her house and it's snowy outside. I do remember the main plot to the movie basically, but there's a lot of little scenes I forgot about it. So I'm glad you enjoyed it, man. There's so many great 90s action movies that a lot of people don't even know of or talk about. And even in the 90s, they sort of went under the radar. But I feel like now, if you were to like pull those out of the 90s nostalgia rubble and hold this up and put it back on Netflix, I think there would be a new fan base for those films because they still stand the test of time and they're still better than the majority of straight to streaming movies we're getting nowadays. Heck, they're better than the majority of theatrical releases we're getting nowadays. And I would definitely put Long Kiss Goodnight up there. All right. VChet says, by the way, speaking of Gina Davis, when's the last time you watched A League of Their Own? My favorite scene in that film is where Tom Hanks he's just taking a piss for like 7 minutes. VChet says, thoughts on Minority Report? It's so underrated. I wouldn't say Minority Report is underrated. I think it's appreciated to the level it should be, but it's a phenomenal sci-fi film. And I would definitely say it's probably one of the last few classics Spielberg cranked out. I can't think of much more beyond that were memorable and will stand the test of time from Spielberg. So you had Minority Report. Minority Report was like what, 2 years after Catch Me If You Can, I believe. Don't correct me if I'm wrong, but yeah, I'm hard pressed to think of more than like 2 or 3 Spielberg movies after that meant anything to me. So yeah, I love me some Minority Report. And it feels like with the way they interpreted predicting crimes with what were the orcs or whatever they were called, the people that laid in the tubs of water that could look up at a screen above their head. It almost feels like we might get to that point with AI and technology at some point where you can almost predict when a crime is going to happen. I mean, really think about it. All right, let's go to the next one here. VChat says, why'd you stop working out? You were in great shape. You just get to a point, and I think I have the personality and the mindset. I'm one of those people where I think, okay, I want to do this. I'm going to do everything in my power. I'm going to be 100% dedicated to it and get to this. And once I finally climb that mountain and I get there and I stand on the peak and I go, yeah, I did it. I instantly just sort of get bored with it and I want to go figure out something else. The thing about working out was, I did it. I mean, I started working out in 2012 and I still occasionally worked out until maybe like a year ago. And there was a lot of off and ons, and COVID definitely was a big hiccup in that for like a year and a half. But, more or less for 10 plus years, I was like addicted to the gym. And I just got bored with it. You get older, you lose your energy, you start settling down, and you just don't care about having abs or huge biceps anymore. I know it's a weird thing to think about, but I don't know. I got lazy, I guess is the answer to that. But I do want to hit the gym again. I do. It was always good for mental health. I will say that. Plus, it's wintertime. I need to get out of the house. If I can't mow my yard, I need to go to the gym and work on my biceps. And by the way, forget everything I just said about having biceps. Having giant biceps is fucking awesome, and I want them again, baby. And I'm going to get them. Oh, if I had some dumbbells right now, I'd curl them right now throughout the entirety of this live show. And then I would show you my pump afterwards. There's nothing better than a bicep pump. Oh, God. All right, let's go to the next one here. 420 says, did you watch Raw on Netflix? Yeah, let's talk about that. So I did watch Raw's debut episode on Netflix, and I'm a huge wrestling fan. Trust me when I say this, I hold back on how much I like WWE. I truly do. I'm a huge fan. I might almost go so far as to say I'm more obsessed with pro wrestling these days than I am movies. There's just something a bit more pure about the entertainment aspect of wrestling. It sort of has everything I like from a movie, but also more, and it feels slightly more visceral to me. That's where I'm at in life. Okay, it's a weird phase I'm going through, but hang on just for a second. But when it comes to Raw's debut episode in the Intuit Dome in Los Angeles, I thought it was a very good production. I loved the production quality of it, and it definitely felt like WWE has entered a new era. It looked like when I was a kid, and like I was picturing WWE in 20 years. I was like, what is it going to look like? All futuristic and crazy with LED lights over the place, you know? And this presentation of Raw on Netflix sort of looked like what I envisioned when I was a kid, what wrestling would sort of look like in 20 years. Now, do I think it was the perfect episode? No. I think as far as this debut episode went, they definitely catered to the mass audiences, and they were trying to get viewers who might be familiar with wrestling. They might like UFC, but they're not really into wrestling itself. And I think they were trying to capture those viewers and give them this big fight feel where it doesn't go too over the top or get too convoluted. It's just combative sports in a ring. And it felt like they were almost leaning too much in that direction. And I understand it from a business standpoint, but as a guy who loves wrestling and current WWE quite a bit, I think it's just getting better by the month, especially in the last year. It's sort of becoming the type of wrestling, I guess, the vibe I've always wanted to see from WWE is finally like here now. But I'm looking forward to the next episode more, because I think the next episode will really set the tone for what the show will be. And I think the pacing on that debut episode was very slow. They had 4 matches in 3 hours. Half of that was promos, and the other half was close-ups of Macaulay Culkin, which, hey, he got the biggest pop of the entire night. When Macaulay Culkin, the camera panned over to him and he had his head down with a hat on, and he went... I was like, this is phenomenal. Get him in the ring right now. I want him to be a special guest referee at WrestleMania. I don't care what match it's for. But no, I liked it overall. I just think on the next episode, it'll finally pick up the pace and get moving a little bit. But man, I love the way it looked. But I will say this, and my wife even made the comment on it. When they were showing all of those drone shots in the arena, don't get me wrong, the drone shots were really cool. I love shots like that. I love seeing a different POV that really opens up the arena and makes you feel like you're there. But even in 2025, with the highest technology that a company has, like Netflix, a billion, multi-billion dollar company, hundreds of billions of dollars, even the best they can do with a live drone shot, it looks like a cell phone camera video from 2007 with 7 pixels. Did anyone else notice this, or am I the only one? I just think, how do we not have 4K live footage of a drone by this point? I don't know, but small nitpick, but it was a good show nevertheless. I liked the main event. I liked the tribal combat match with Solo Sikoa and Roman Reigns. The women's championship was okay, and then the Drew McIntyre versus Jey Uso match was a bit underwhelming, and I think the wrong guy won that match. So those are my thoughts, and I hope you enjoyed that. And by the way, on a quick side note, I do have tickets to Royal Rumble in February 1st in Indianapolis. It'll be my first ever Royal Rumble. It's in a huge football stadium. I'm looking forward to that shit quite a bit, so I can't wait to check that out. And also, because I'm such a weird fanatic and I had to max out my PayPal credit card because it's sort of like a gift to myself, I will be also seeing SmackDown the night before in Indianapolis. So if you guys are going to either one of those events, let me know down below. I'd love to hear from you. Okay, let's go to the next question here. And M. Who is my secret admirer, M? Why do I love you so? Why do you do this? Okay, let's just we'll save the appreciation, and let's just answer the question. So M, with a very overly generous super chat, and thank you for that, that'll help pay my Costco credit card off. I'm glad I was able to catch you live today. I'm pulling a late-nighter, sitting in my trailer on set, waiting for my call, and you are providing me with the entertainment that I need right now. What are you hoping to accomplish with your channel this year? Well, thank you very much for that. M, who the fuck are you? Tell me now. I need to know. Okay, you can tell me in privacy, okay? However you want to do that, let me know, man. But you're too generous, and nevertheless, I'll give you a digital hug and a little kiss later if you promise not to tell anybody. But so as far as answering your question, my goals for this year, I have a few ideas for YouTube, and I think this is the year to implement them. I think it's time to start being consistent, holding myself accountable, going to the gym, staying focused. Because I realized the closer I get to 40, the closer I inch to 40, that really is midlife. It truly is. They say midlife is 50. No. I'm not living to be 100. Do you know anyone who's 100? I do not either. But 80, okay, I can probably get there. So midlife to me is 40 years old. And that's only another year and a few months away. And when I think about that, it makes me want to lay in bed all day with fear paralysis and not move an inch. But then a little voice inside of my head, and this little voice sounds like Mickey from Rocky. He says, "Get up, you son of a bitch, because Mickey loves you." And I feel like it's time to finally get up and do what I need to do. Because the worst thing in life, the worst thing you can ever do is say, "Well, I wish I would have done that." You know what I want to say when I'm on my deathbed? I want to say, well, at least I tried and it failed miserably, but at least I tried. So nevertheless, I just want to start being more consistent. I feel like there's more I can do on YouTube. There's definitely thoughts. Sometimes I'll keep it real with you. And just the 239 of you watching right now, I'll only keep it real with you. If anybody watches the replay, then this is disingenuous to you. Never mind. But to all of you watching right now, there's certain things, and if I sometimes don't get certain thoughts out, I feel like, and then like, for example, if I see a movie and I don't do a review on it, and I just, like, I had a few jokes I wanted to say about it, when I'm watching the movie, I instantly make up a review in my mind, and by the time the credits are rolling, I sort of already had the bullet points of what my review are going to be, and sometimes I just don't push record on that camera to make that review. And when those thoughts and all those bullet points and little quippy one-liners I had just die, well, I don't want that to happen anymore. So I want to start making more content for you guys. And now that the seasonal depression's over, let's start doing that. And I figured, what better than a brand new live show tonight? I'll be honest once again. I was sort of tired. I wasn't in the mood to talk to this camera until I started talking to this camera, and now I don't want to be anywhere else. So I mean this when I say it. Whenever you guys see me on a live stream, it's because I would truly rather not be anywhere else than here blabbing about movies in my Jurassic Park hoodie with all of you great people and all of your glorious questions. And M's glorious, generous questions. So thank you, M. Round of applause for M. Now, M, I usually give you a little hug, but today I feel like I owe you more. Okay? So if this is M's head, I gotta really give him everything he deserves. What? I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Don't make it weird. Okay, I got a little weird. Shh, don't tell. Okay. All right. Let's go to the next question. And the next question is from Gabe Newell, who says, sorry, I did just hypothetically blow my microphone, but I had to. With a super chat like that, come on. Gabe Newell says, John, I know no one likes politics, but what are your thoughts on Trump wanting to go to war with Canada? Donald Trump, more like Donald Chump. Well, we'll talk about this because with politics, you can never win, even if you have the best intentions. I promise you that. Even touching on them, people get so offended. But I will say this. I thought the most bizarre thing that I've heard this week was making Canada part of the United States. And it feels like half of the people are for it and the other half aren't. And I wonder if they put it up to a vote in Canada, if they wanted to become part of the United States. And if you guys are watching right now from the United States, would you want to be part of this shit? I don't know. You tell me. But I thought that was the most interesting thing relating to politics this week. All right. The 50% Doctor Who podcast says, would you rather have a heated conversation with Chuck McGill or Lights Camera Jackson? Listen, I'll put it like this, and I'm sorry, spoilers for Better Call Saul, but the series ended like 5 years ago. You had your time. My favorite episode in Better Call Saul is the one where Chuck dies in a fire. Oh God. When he died in that blaze of glory, just asleep with his manic thoughts to keep him awake all night, an instant wave of relief washed it over me. And I was like, finally, that annoying prick is dead. Chuck was sort of like the Skyler from Breaking Bad, right? So, what was the question again? Oh, yes. He did conversation. Probably Lights, Camera, Jackson. But then again, I would like to have a conversation with Lights, Camera, Jackson. Just one. Should I ask him to be a co-host on this live stream? So Jackson, what did you think about Inception?
Well, I don't know. It's just I didn't understand it because I'm a 5-year-old fucking kid whose daddy has nepotism problems and it got me on TV.
But then again, he's like 28 years old now, so maybe his voice is a little deeper. But I hope that ginger red hair of his is just as fiery as it was back when Inception came out. Okay, let's go to the next question here. DJ Run says, "Hey, John, do you and Nikki... Wait. Hey, John, what did you and Nikki do for New Year's Eve? Yours and ours, first as married couple. Also, can you do a Morgan Freeman impression counting down to midnight on New Year's Eve?" Oh, so me and my wife and I, we went to a hockey game here in town. So we watched a hockey game in the most uncomfortable seats I've ever sat in. And then we went to their house and kind of hung out. And me and my buddy played pool. He was my best man at my wedding. And just ate some snacks and counted down the moments. But I will say this. This tradition has been going on for the last 3 years of my life. I always put on Forrest Gump. And if you start it an hour and 30 some odd minutes before midnight, you will celebrate New Year's with Lieutenant Dan. And it's the best version of Lieutenant Dan. It's when he's all drugged out with his shitty hair and he's sitting in his wheelchair at the bar like this, just thinking about his life as everyone's celebrating in the background. And that to me is the most beautiful scene in that film. And that is how I myself usually feel every New Year. I'm just like, well, another year, huh? Gone. Wasted. So anyway, that's what we did. All right, let's go to the next question. And the next one comes from Claudio Rogajon, who says, "Since Night King mentioned Transporter, how the hell did it go from a movie about a driver stopping some human traffickers to a driver stopping a plot to release a deadly virus to kill the important government officials? What the F?" Well, that's a great point, but also you could ask yourself the same thing about the Fast and the Furious franchise. We have street racers stealing VCR players, and then 7 movies later, they're stopping a nuclear warhead on a submarine as Charlize Theron drives a monster truck. You know, it's just like, what is this? So yeah, that's what I hate about it. Just keep it simple, man. We don't need to go this big budget, over the top Hollywood junk ass shit. All right? But they almost want to turn it into this like Americanized Bollywood movie or something. Like it's, yeah, I don't know. Don't get me wrong. There's a time and a place for over the top shit. But if you start out the tone of the franchise and you deviate from that so far, I feel like you've betrayed me as a viewer. Am I the only one? Let me know if you feel the same way. And by the way, I am reading some of your comments over here. Canada would kick their ass. Hey, listen, if the United States and Canada have a war that solely the outcome is based on playing hockey, oh, we're screwed. We're done, man. You guys win. Take it. Take it. Marcus says he still has seasonal depression. Well, that's all right, man. I'm hoping to cure that a little bit. Just breathe in the fresh air and look at some guy on the internet. Actually, do none of those things. Just go outside and go on a walk. That actually does help. I've been there, done it. All right. The next one comes from Night King 01. Night King 01 is back again here. The worst part of the crane scene in Transporter 2 is that it's a practical stunt. By then, they cut to a terrible green screen shot of Jason Statham looking all badass, look like ultra violent levels of CGI. Yes, I think I vaguely remember that close-up scene as well. Yeah, you have a great stunt. You could just do a one-take tracking shot, make it really cool. But no, we need a close-up of Jason Statham just looking stupid. Tripler3 says, how long would it take if you start a fire if you were in Castaway? Also, would you carve a hole in the volleyball and name it Nicole Aniston? You can call it Nicole Aniston or Jennifer Aniston, or heck, we can just keep calling it Wilson, okay? When you're alone for that long on an island, it doesn't matter. But I wish it was a football. Don't ask. Actually, I wish it was a baseball bat. I'm just kidding. Okay, so because I would play baseball on the island. Actually, you could use the baseball bat as a spear, or you could chop it up and use it as firewood. Okay. So how long would it take me to start a fire if I was on Castaway? Well, it's something funny about that is I've asked myself that very question almost every time I've watched the movie for the last 20 times. And not even knowing that technique exists until, watching survival shows or watching Castaway, it probably would have taken me a very long time to start a fire. So long, in fact, I probably just eat raw fish and I would have been dead within 2 months. But then eventually those videotapes would have landed on the island. Then I could have built a shitty raft, made it out of videotape, and then I probably would have drowned a mile off the coast of the island. So that would have been the story of me. But with all that said, now I know how to do it. I don't know, probably days. I'd probably give up once my hand started bleeding. Yeah, to be honest. And then I would just go out to sea and drown. Let's go to the next question here. But then again, you know what? I have a random thought to share with you about Castaway. The one thing in Castaway that always bothered me was there's one package that he saves, and that essentially is his will, his purpose, his dedication, his desire, and what drives him to live besides his wife, who ends up marrying a dentist a few years later. It's like you couldn't wait just a couple more years? You had to marry the dentist? But anyway, the fact that he saves this one package without opening it, stranded on an island, I don't know if I would have it inside of me not to open that package. Now, I understand the mental state that he was in not to do it, but I would have opened it. And I would have prayed and hoped that it was a waterproof satellite phone that runs on solar power. Then it would have been fine. But then again, all it was like a little decorative piece some lady made. like how disappointing. It's like getting socks on Christmas when you ask for a PS3. All right. Elliot Cecil says, are you nervous about Daredevil Born Again series? Not really. The fact that Disney allowed something like Deadpool and Wolverine to come out, I have some hope with it. I think they'll treat it fine. I think they'll give it. I think it'll be fine. I really do. And heck, maybe it'll be better than what we previously got with Daredevil. I know that's a quite the statement to make, but I think the new Daredevil series might be okay. I think Disney's at a point where they're no longer trying to, and maybe I'm completely wrong with this, but I hope by now, they're to a point where they don't have to babyfy everything anymore. It's like you have a certain audience, they will always love this stuff, no matter if you make stuff that's a little edgier. It's like, don't insult our intelligence. And by the way, speaking of sort of watered down baby food versions of Disney Plus series, I did want to talk about Skeleton Crew. Now, weeks ago, I said that I watched the first episode or two, and I said it's okay, it's fine. I get that this is a show made for younger kids to entice them to love the world of Star Wars or the galaxy of Star Wars. And with all that said, I have not continued on after episode 2 of that show. I just stopped caring to watch it. And plus the main kid, he belongs in a Disney Plus series, not like a Star Wars series. He's like too excitable and annoying, and I just can't take him. Makes me not want to watch it. But anyway, has anyone continued on with Skeleton Crew, and do you enjoy the show? Did it get better? Did it get worse? Let me know. All right, let's go to the next one here. Robert Giacinta says, dry guy or lotion? It just depends on the day, man. It really does. I had a great story. I had a story to share there with a friend from high school, and I just don't know if it's appropriate. I just don't know if it's appropriate. He was the type of kid who could whittle beechwood without a pocket knife, you know? Okay, Elliot Cecil says, I don't live in LA, but I'd be furious with the mayor and the governor. Yeah, once again, not to get too deep into politics, but I've been reading some of the reports, and I don't know if it's a half-truth or it's misinformation, but everything I conjured up was basically the mayor and the governor, they didn't do anything to help be preventative in wildfire maintenance when they could have. And I read a report that said they spent like $22 billion on the homeless issue in California last year, but spent $0 on preventing forest fires or wildfires in Los Angeles, knowing that it could be a problem. To me, that's almost criminal activity. That's incompetence. And I just think politicians should have to answer to those things. Like, look how many people are dying and being, I mean, I think 5 people died. Okay. That's a lot. That's 5 people. But I will say this, with the amount of property damage and people being displaced, I think someone should be held accountable for that and not making the proper decisions. And I don't care what state that's in. Like, people in charge should be held accountable for being lazy sacks of shit. So those are my thoughts on it. Champion says nothing, but thanks for the question. Or actually, no question, but thanks for the sticker here, man. Yeah, if you guys live in California or Los Angeles specifically, let me know how life is going right now. Please share your thoughts. I would love to hear it. When you look at the pictures, it looks crazy. It's like, this looks like it's from a movie. And that movie's called 2012. And it was terrible. But I kind of enjoy it. It's a guilty pleasure. All right, and M, once again, big thanks, man. Thank you so much. Whatever you're doing, I hope you're doing well in life. And one day, maybe you can open up and share who you really are. Share the secret identity. Okay, I would love to know. Keeps me up at night. But thanks, M. Thanks nevertheless. Mike Spoon says, this may help you laugh, but my friend and I went to a concert last year and 30 Seconds to Mars was headlining. But we left early before they came on because we disliked Jared Leto that much, laughing my ass off. Anyway, plus we got McDonald's, so it was a win-win. Well, quite the story. I hope you're looking forward to Tron Ares. I know I'm not. Actually, that's a lie. I slightly am. But the thing that gets me the least excited about the Tron sequel coming out next year would be Jared Leto. I just can't look at him in a film anymore and get excited. I really can't. At one point in the early 2000s, I liked him as an actor. I did. And then he got just too weird. And then he played the Joker in Suicide Squad. And then he played Morbius. And I just came to the conclusion, I just can't look at this guy in a movie any longer. So anyway. Yeah, 30 Seconds to Mars, I was never a big fan either. So, Champion says, hey, John. I think you are by far the most entertaining movie YouTuber. Did you watch Anora yet? I loved the acting, pacing, dark comedy, and Toros. Well, thanks for that, man. I'll take that. I'll never be the most consistent. But hopefully, if you stick around long enough, I can be the most entertaining. Or at least give you the most unfiltered thoughts that just stream out of my mouth into your ears. So I did watch Anora. I talked about this a while ago. I think Anora might make it into my top 10 of the year. I'm going to do the video. I have it, and we will do a live stream talking about another topic of the year. But the top 10s are coming. I like to get those out in mid to late January because what else is there to talk about this month besides Flight Risk and Wolfman? But I did see Anora. I did enjoy it. I will say the third act, man, oh man, they drug their feet a little bit. I liked the outcome. I liked the message of the story. Yeah, that third act, it was like you almost had perfection and you fumbled a little bit, but I did enjoy the movie. Michael Witherspoon says, if Craven's dad was a tough man, why was he fat? Well, that's because Russell Crowe is fat. Well, he's a little chunky, right? And once again, this goes back to our conversation earlier in the live stream about not working out. If I was old and I've accomplished what Russell Crowe has accomplished, and I was a millionaire and I could just sail on a yacht and enjoy life, I don't know if I would be busting my ass in the gym every day either. So, but nevertheless, yeah, kind of a hypocrite, right? You're weak. You're not like me. It's like, no, your son Craven has a 6-pack, 27-inch biceps, but no, he's not like you, some middle-aged drug dealer guy who looks like he's out of shape. That, it's like, so very hypocritical of Craven's father. But then again, I don't think a man like that ever has mental logic, or he wasn't the most sane person on the planet. So let's take a sip of this Sprite Zero. Suck Sohata says, thoughts on The Rock's final boss gimmick? I love that gimmick. That was my favorite thing I've seen from The Rock in a very long time. Playing a badass heel who knows he's a badass heel, that's the best version of The Rock. When I was watching the debut episode of Raw, where you had The Rock come out to open up the show, and that's cool, I get it. He's the most popular guy on the planet that relates to wrestling, so have him open up the show on Netflix, right, to really set the tone to get people in there. But man, the pandering to Netflix by The Rock and everyone else on that show, I was like, does anyone give a shit about the close-up shot of the Netflix execs setting in the audience? Like, okay, show me Macaulay Culkin, show me X-Pac, but like when they did a close-up of the execs just congratulating themselves, I was like, oh, Jesus. Let's calm down for a second here. I was hoping Stone Cold would come out and hit him in the back of the head with a steel chair. But anyway, when it comes to the Rock's final boss character, yeah, I like it. I loved the intro music that he had for it as well. I think it's like some of the best stuff I've ever seen from The Rock. So I hope that answers your Rudy Poo candy question. Yeah, I was going to call you a candy ass, but never mind. Mike Spoon says, I don't know the creepy neighbor Phil Hartman from Jingle All the Way was involved in a murder-suicide in real life. Poor guy. Yeah. I remember reading about that when I was a kid. That was 1998, 99, right? That happened. That's crazy. But also, when you look at Phil Hartman's character in Jingle All the Way, how creepy and pervy he was, and how many sex crimes he actually committed in that movie, he basically forces himself on Arnold's wife in the car. And it's like, well, I'm sorry, that would be a felony. You'd probably be sentenced to at least, some community service or something, sir. But they really went for it in children's comedy movies, didn't they? I sort of miss those days. That's what I miss most about cinema. Having a creepy, perverted neighbor that just tries to take advantage of your wife. That's what I miss most about cinema. It's not the craftsmanship, the filmmaking, the practical effects. No. It's having a sex offender next door in every movie, no matter what it is. Even if it's a Christmas movie, you put him next door. It'll be a funny subplot. All right. The next question comes from Better Call Maul, who says, Johnny Sloppy Toppy, you'd have over 1 million subs if you posted more. No disrespect. We all just love you. Yeah, I probably would. I know I would. And you know what? That's the price I've paid. But it's the sacrifice I've made. Well, I don't know where I was going with that, but I will make more videos. But nevertheless, I'm just so happy I have the viewers I do. I really mean that. Because it's you guys, I feel like a majority of you, some of you probably hate watch me, and that's okay. I would too. Who is this douchebag? He doesn't know shit. I understand. I've been there as well. But hear me out for a second, all right? I think it's baffling that we found each other. I really do. Okay? Statistically speaking, you guys shouldn't be here right now, but you are. And that means a lot to me. Like, rather than go watch some $250 million film or watch Netflix, you're sitting here watching me. And I don't care if there's 100 of you, 283 of you, or 3 million of you. That to me means the same amount no matter what. So that's my heartfelt emotions poured out to you. Let's go to the next question before I cry. But nevertheless, thank you guys so much. I do mean that. It's one of the few happy thoughts I hold on to and cherish. All right, let's go to the next one here. Andy Kumar says, hello, you sack of wine. Well, thank you for that. And by the way, I talked about it on the last live show, but I am looking forward to the new Christopher Nolan biopic Odyssey. And the reason I connect those two is because it's essentially the sequel of the Trojan War, in which in the Trojan War, if you watch Troy, you have Achilles. So anyway, that's how my brain works. Let's go to the next question. Andy Kumar also says, hey, John, thoughts on Bollywood movies? Any favorites? I don't really have any favorites, to be honest with you. I think it's an interesting genre, but it's not one that, it's not that I guess I've seen Bollywood movies. I've seen some crazy over-the-top things. I've seen some better, more filmic quality produced ones, but I guess I'm not a huge fan, generally speaking. But then again, tell me one that you love. I do remember watching the Forrest Gump parody movie from India. And I'm not comparing that to quality Bollywood movies. I'm not. I'm just putting it out there. It feels like I'm watching a version of a movie that should only belong on another planet. Like, oh, in a universe 3 billion light years away, this is their version of Forrest Gump. But no, that stuff's taking place right here in India, guys. It's crazy to me. Okay. And M says, no, I'm not M. Night. I wish it was M. Night Shyamalan. Shine, legend, shine. This has to be M. Night. I love Canada. Yeah, anyway, I don't know who M is. If it is M. Night Shyamalan, hey, I don't love all your movies, but good try on most of them, man. I will always love The Sixth Sense. And The Village will always have a special place in my heart. I like the ending. I did. Okay, let's go to the next one. You guys are too good to me. Okay. Roberto... John, do you have a speech impediment? No, my mouth is just very dry. Roberto Jordan says, have you enjoyed the switch from insurance to YouTube? Well, yes and no. Well, yes. But I do miss the consistency. You know, the thing about YouTube is getting up that energy to make a video or even a live stream. It's like, man, you question everything about your life, the purpose, and you got to be on. You always have to be on and ready. So I miss the consistency of the insurance job. I was a project manager, and there was a lot of days where I had some downtime, but the thing I don't miss whatsoever are the majority of the people I worked with and the way that the company functioned, because it gave me anxiety because you never quite got the answer. No one really communicated anything to you, and you were always left guessing what to do and what to do next. And so I hated that aspect of it. And at least with something like YouTube, you control your own destiny. And I do enjoy that quite a bit. By the way, do you guys think TikTok's going to get banned in the next week or two? I have mixed thoughts and opinions on it. Okay. Brett A says, do a John Campea impression as Nick Nolte in Warrior. Okay, that's a lot to throw on a guy right now, okay? Who may or may not have taken edibles before a live stream started. But, okay, Nick Nolte impression from the movie Warrior, but as John Campea. Okay, I will try it just for you. For $1.99, I gotta give you this, right? All right, let's. Okay. Well, it's a really nice thing what you did for that guy in that tank, Tommy. But first, let me preface with this. That's all I got. All right. Roberta Jordan says, have you enjoyed the switch? We answered that, sorry. Night King 01 back again says, the thing that always bugged me about the first Fast and the Furious is who the hell was buying those cheap 2-in-the-box TVs from Panasonic at the time. I'm telling you, John, they would not be selling those for even pennies on the street. Well, I'm telling you something, Night King 01 is a weird kid that grew up in the late 90s, early 2000s. When they had VHS TV combos, those were quite popular. I had one myself. Now, they put really shitty VCRs with those TVs that they were selling, but I will say they probably would have sold. But when that movie came out in 2000, 2001, yeah, DVD players are on the horizon. It's like, let's upgrade things here. Let's steal those instead. So yeah, it would have been it. And the one thing as a criminal you probably don't want to steal are TVs in large boxes that are super heavy. Those old CRT TVs, those things weighed like 150 pounds for like a 19-inch TV. Okay, so imagine like trying to like sell all of I don't know. It just seems like logistically a bad idea. If you're gonna rob a truck with a machine gun and multiple cars with neon lights underneath them, that's just a dead giveaway. Like, yeah, if you're going to rob things, don't put neon lights under your car that all match. Call me crazy. But where was I going with this? Oh, yes. Like, just rob a bank at that point, you know? Patrick Swayze and Point Break got it right. Why can't they? All right, let's go to the next one here. And the next one comes from Claudia Rogajon, who says, last thing about Transporter 2. Okay, let's make this the last thing about Transporter 2, because keep in mind, I don't really remember anything about the movie because I haven't seen it since like 2003, man. But let's keep going. But the thing that made us laugh the most was when he flew through the air like a superhero and saved the 2 vials of antidote and then went back to his car and changed it into his extra suit like his Batman, and it's in his Batmobile. I don't even remember that. But you know what? Talking about this movie as much as we have, I almost feel like I need to go back and watch it and watch me love it. And I have to punish myself for not watching it for the last 20 years. All right. Mark Kelly says, no question again, showing my support again. Thanks for being entertaining and sharing my same enthusiasm for movies and entertainment. Well, thanks, Mark. Thank you so much for that, man. Thank you. Well, you know what? This is a place of freedom and safety. So thank you for joining me. And always and forever, share your real thoughts and your opinions in the comment section below. Comedy Cross says, John, just watched Perks of Being a Wallflower. One of my favorites. Hadn't seen it in a while. The movie's timeless. What are your thoughts on it? I watched it one time. I remember the scene where they're in the back of a pickup truck going through a tunnel. I remember liking it quite a bit. I just don't remember every minute detail in the movie. I like I said, I watched it once. But I always thought to myself, oh, this is like an actual good coming-of-age story. All right, the next one comes from Goated Rizzard from Ohio. Well, all my family lives in Ohio, and the username almost makes sense. Okay. Hey, John, did you see the video of the 44-year-old woman in $27,000 credit card debt solely buying Blu-rays? What do you think of people putting themselves in debt for Blu-rays? I think that's a small price to pay for happiness. Where's this video at? She went $27K in debt to buy Blu-rays. I hate to tell her this, but if you take like $40 to a pawn shop, you can walk out with a trash bag full of Blu-rays, and you could probably walk out with 2 U-Hauls full of DVDs. So good for her. Tripler3 says, do you remember when washers and dryers were heavy duty? I recently purchased a dryer, and I'm pretty sure it's made out of aluminum foil. You know what I love about doing these live shows? We don't just talk about movies. No. We talk about appliances. And I think a majority of you might appreciate this. If you're like 27 and older, you probably appreciate this. But I will talk about your washer for one moment. We moved into this house a few years ago, and there's a washer and dryer that we inherited, and they both work just fine, no problems. But my washing machine, in the middle of it, there's a thing called a spindle, and it's what agitates the clothes when you wash it. A lot of washers that are modern day don't have a spindle in them, and they're just a big open container. So whatever, but mine does have that spindle in the middle. and it has these little plastic fins on the bottom. Think of a rocket ship with little fins on the bottom. And those fins on the bottom aren't actually connected to the bottom of the washing machine, but to the side. So every pant or every shirt that has a string on it always gets wrapped up in these. They twist, they turn, they get caught. And I literally spend, every time I unload my washing machine, I spend 10 minutes just ripping the fucking clothes out, untwisting the clothes around the spindle. I'm ripping it, I'm pulling it. I almost want to record it at some point because it is the worst part of my day. And I do this multiple times a week. And I just now occurred to me how much I hate it. Thank you for letting me get that out. I've been holding that in for a very long time now. You know how many pairs of pants I've ruined? But yeah, man, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know. Just don't buy Samsung appliances. That's my best advice I can give you. The Dark Mike says, hey, John, 2 questions. Name a film that needed a sequel. Name the film that needed a sequel. Off the top of my head, the one that's most baffling to me is Dredd. Dredd was like a $30 million movie. Box office wise, it didn't do perfect or that well, but it became a cult hit and it was critically well received. And the fact that some streaming service like Netflix, who just spends $350 million on whatever the next Rock movie is, the fact that they haven't made a movie like this, it has always baffled me. So I think Dredd could definitely get a sequel, and it should have a sequel, and I don't understand why it hasn't. Also, what's a bad film that needs a remake? Great example, Dredd remake. I didn't even read the second part of your question before I read Dredd. So yes. So a bad film that needs a remake. Where do you even start with that? There's movies that had concepts that could have been good, right? But they just weren't quite executed in the way they should have been. And I'm trying to think of a movie that had like a great concept, but just sucked. Oh God, help me. My brain's melting. Now we have to look into this. You gave me one of those thought-provoking questions. There's got to be something I'm thinking of here. Okay. Well, let's read a list because I cannot be that original right now. So here's a few movies that sucked that maybe could have and should have been better. Shrek the Third, Mr. and Mrs. Smith. Yeah, great concept, but terrible execution. Okay, I got one for you, and this is on the list, but damn it, I'm glad I read it. Spider-Man 3, a movie that sucks that could have and should have been better. Home Alone 3, yeah, that would be one of them. Someone put The Village on there. I like The Village. And by the way, I think M. Night Shyamalan's watching right now, so everyone be nice. Okay. So those are a few. We'll go with those. I'm trying to think from personal bias or my own experience. I'm trying to think. Oh, like Force Awakens, going back and watching that again, you think, man, that should have been better. So, Uncharted. Great. Yes. From Big Don, he says Uncharted, which was garbage or trash, however you want to. I think that's a garbage can emoji, so we'll go with that. Terrible casting. Yeah, I like me some Tom Holland, but Tom Holland just was not right for that role, and he just looks a little too young. He just looks a bit too young. Tom Holland has aged slow, so he looks like he's really 18 years old at this point, and he should look like he's at least in his mid-20s to play that role. So that's one of them. I agree. Tenet. Oh, another great pick. That's a phenomenal pick, and I would agree with that 100%. I don't even want to say I was disappointed with it. I just thought to myself, like, this is the movie you wanted to make, Christopher Nolan? I don't know. It just, to me, that felt like it should have been one of his earlier films, not one of the films he's already made after he's made multiple masterpieces. But then again, hey, some directors just want to get a little crazy and indulgent and execute one of their ideas. And now that he has, I think hopefully we pick up some steam. And I think a majority of people will agree Oppenheimer was phenomenal. The weird thing with me and Oppenheimer was I liked it. I really did. But I have not had an urge to go back and revisit it. I just haven't. I don't know. Maybe that's on me, but I just and then but I'm definitely looking forward to Odyssey once again. So Jordan Kudajar says In Time and Project Almanac. Yeah, In Time was always a cool concept with Justin Timberlake. I always loved the concept where your life is based on like credits, how much time you have left to live. And in theory, it's kind of accurate in a weird way. But anyway, yeah, that's another one. Project Almanac. Kick-Ass 2. I have a guilty pleasure love for Kick-Ass 2. I love the first one. And the second one, I just don't feel like they had the right director for the job. It lacked all those little nuanced things that it originally had. It was a little more, I don't want to say subtle. It just looked better. The first Kick-Ass just looked more like a film and not just some crappy movie of the week. Okay, let's go to the next one. Night King 01 back again says, have you ever seen the movie Michael Collins starring Liam Neeson? It's a period piece about the war for the Irish independence. I promise you it's a good time, and Warner Brothers put it up for free on their channel with no ads. It's relaxing. Is that weird? No, I understand. There's many of war films I find very relaxing, but I have not seen this. Yeah, Michael Collins. No, I have not. I don't think I've seen that. I'll check into it, man. Sounds interesting. What year was it? Let me know. Yeah, but when it comes to like relaxing war movies, if I put Troy on, I will fall asleep. Not because I'm bored by the movie, but just those sandy beaches with all the downtime in between the battles, it relaxes me. All right, Cool Keyboard Commando says, hey, John, wrestling is not fake, but what would you describe it as? Love ya. What would I describe wrestling as? In one word, theater. I think it's a live action spectacle featuring storytelling and stunts. That's the way I look at it. It's like watching a live action movie take place, and there's a sports aspect to it at the same time. So, really it's like that's what I would describe it as. You know what I describe it as? Magic. It's pure magic and baby oil. All right, let's go to the next one here. Better Call Maul says, Johnny Batnips, could you finally disclose what you did to the ancient mythical Tiny Todd? I've showed this in a Flick Trip video. I need to retitle this Flick Trip video Tiny Todd Dies. I almost want to do it right now, but I'm signed into the wrong YouTube account. So I made a Flick Trip video, I want to say in 2014, where I bury Tiny Todd in the Blu-ray bin to die forever. It was finally time to let go of that little plastic skeleton who haunted my dreams and my nightmares and abused me at night when I was sleeping. It was time to let him go. Now, I hope he's burning in hell. Blu-ray hell, that is. With all the copies of Terminator 2 Judgment Day on 4K. So yeah, that's in a Flick Trip video. Robert Giacinta says, ever seen Little Monsters with Howie Mandel? 80s kid movie that features body horror, invading kids' bedrooms, divorce, and peanut butter and onion sandwiches. Not only have I seen Little Monsters, I used to rent it on a weekly basis as a stupid little kid. I loved that movie. I loved it. You had the Savage Brothers. The thing about that movie was I love when they give the bully Brian, and that's how many times I've seen it. Brian's the little brother. The bully's name's whatever. We'll call him Buzz McAllister. But my favorite part is when they piss in his apple juice and he drinks it on the bus. I love that. But no, that's a terrifying movie. When they go to the underworld where the what's his name? The big monster guy and the little one that looks like a schoolboy. Kevin or something like that. I don't remember. But that always terrified me when he was wearing like little boy skin on top of a monster's body. Like, when you really think about it, that's definitely the substance shit going on right there. And when you look at it from that perspective, it truly is terrifying. If you've never seen Little Monsters, I highly recommend it. And that's definitely one of those really underrated movies. All right. The next one comes from Silvio says, so did I. I love Little Monsters. I love Little Monsters too, man. Bruce Cook says the bully is Roger Klotz. No, that's from Doug.
Roger Klotz. Hey, funny.
Where was I going with that? Oh yeah, the other thing I liked in Little Monsters was when they like go into the supply closet and steal all the light bulbs because it's a defense mechanism against monsters when they go down below. And I always liked when they were building those suits out of light bulbs. I just like, that's like some Lost Boys shit or something. I like things. Little things like that in children's movies. That's what I like. All right, let's go to the next one here. Champion says, can you please review Better Call Saul? I love it. I'll just say I really like it. I think it's one of those shows that gets better with every season. The ending's a little questionable, but I think it's truly one of the best spin-off series of all time, man. JC Zindel says, hey brother, last time I was asking you about how you like the job and for tips. I work in the DOD now. Thanks for the tips, bro. Well, yeah, man, I hope everything's going well with you, and thanks for chiming back in. What do you do again? What was the line of work? Just update me in the normal chat. I'll try to find it. Give me a vague, broad stroke of what you're doing these days. The Dark Mike says a great Bollywood movie is Kill and RRR. Have you seen those movies? Random question. What do you think of Mormons? Oh gosh. Yeah, I did see RRR. I get it. I thought it was okay, but I didn't love it as much as some people did, or some people claim they did. But I get enjoying it. I think being on psychedelics would definitely enhance the experience to some degree. Absolutely. Random question. What do you think of Mormons? Different strokes for different folks, I guess. If they're happy, I'm happy. Just don't knock on my door. All right. Andy Kumar says, good Bollywood movie, Dawn 2006. Watch the trailer, bro. It's Dawn 2006. Okay. Mental note. I will watch the trailer. Actually, let's type it in here now. I'll watch it right now. Dawn trailer 2006. Okay. All right. Let's do this. Oh, we got an ad. All right, here we go. There's horses, they're racing. Okay, I don't want to make you guys I don't want you to have to look at me watch this like a reaction video for the next 3 minutes. It looks kind of crazy and over the top. It looks like a Face-Off style action movie from John Woo with a little bit of Matrix flair mixed in there at the end. So I'll check into it, man. I will. I got it saved on my YouTube to watch later right now, so I'll check it out. All right, the next one comes from Champion. Did we? Oh, no. Jordan Kudajar once again says, what are your thoughts on El Camino 2019? The wife and I recently just went back and rewatched all Breaking Bad. Then we watched El Camino, and now we're watching Better Call Saul. And I like it. You know, it feels like a quality episode of Breaking Bad, really. And it's sort of like an epilogue. And that's all I wanted. Just you give a little more info to what happens with a few characters. And that's all it needed to do. I didn't have any other expectations than that. I think some people wanted a little bit more from it, but I think as far as getting an answer to Jesse and what happens to him, I thought it was like the logical ending point, and I quite enjoyed it. But what's his name? Todd, the guy who plays Todd, when you look at Todd and El Camino compared to the last time you see him in Breaking Bad, a lot happened in those time periods with Todd. So he looks like a completely different human being. But I love me some Todd, that creepy bastard. Okay, the next one comes from Alex Ryan, who says, been here since The Dark Knight Rises. Holy shit. Thank you for everything, man. What do you think the Vince Gilligan and Rhea Seehorn project will be like? Well, thanks for that, man. Jesus, that's 12 long, glorious years. I remember shooting that review the day I did. Not one of my better reviews, long story behind it, but thanks for joining me, man, or sticking around at least. So thank you for that. So if you guys didn't know, Vince Gilligan has a new project on Apple TV with Rhea Seehorn, who played Kim in Better Call Saul. And I don't know what it is. I actually read about this just a week or two ago, and it just seems like it's going to be a futuristic sci-fi show to some degree. That's, I think, the only thing I picked up about it. And there's some theories and speculation on Reddit, but nobody really knows. So I know they are shooting it in Albuquerque once again. So is it a Kim Wexler spinoff show? I don't know. That would be crazy. But I'm hoping it's something else. So I'm looking forward to it. Brett Altop says, is it crazy we might see colors differently? One person sees blue, could look red to another person, and would have no way of knowing. Yeah, it's called being colorblind, but a majority of us do see the same colors because I think they've done tests on this. I mean, we all stop at a red light, or at least most of us who haven't been convicted of a... Never mind. So yeah, I think we all generally see colors pretty much the same. I'm sure we interpret it very differently, but I'll give you an example, right? And going to your point to open up the philosophical thought process of all this, you're definitely right. Like, I could see this green can slightly different than you see it. So the entire world looks different to me. I do get that. But also I have, I'll tell you, when I close my left eye and I look out of my right eye, this has nothing to do with color blindness, just blindness itself. Everything in this eye is blurry. It looks like a piece of Vaseline is over this eye right now because I have such a weird pupil that it's like shaped like a cone rather than like a bubble or dome. So everything's super blurry. And sometimes like it gives me a headache because I focus, especially when I'm doing live streams, I'm focusing so hard on this 5-point font. For some odd reason, that's as big as it gets. Thanks for nothing, Streamlabs OBS. But anyway, I focus so much with one eye that I get a headache the next day because I can't really rely on this eye to do much other than give me some peripheral. But I do see 3D movies in 3D. But the best way to describe my right eye is life through this eye looks like a 3D movie does without the glasses on. So let's go to the next question. I just wanted to share my eye issues. You talked about color blindness. We had to go there. Okay, the next one comes from Better Call Maul, who says, Johnny Beanstalk, you think Campia is a virgin? No, he has a wife. I'm sure he's doing okay, man. Jesus. He's not like some 14-year-old kid talking about movies on the internet. He's a married man. All right. Both all that said, maybe. I'm just kidding. Skylar Wheelock says, I drunkenly watched Casino Royale recently, and while it's already a great movie, it was on a whole other level drunkenly. Plenty of action to keep you interested, but also some really emotional scenes that will make you pour another glass. Well, I hope that glass is shaken, not stirred. But I love Casino Royale, man. I could watch that movie on, if I'm drunk, intoxicated, what have you. If I'm huffing gasoline or model glue, I get that it would make that movie a better experience. And also the thing about that is it is the perfect blend of all those different genres, but it has so much nuance and character in it, and it's so well presented with the way it's directed and filmed. It blends all those genres together, and you really feel like you get 3 movies in one. But it also has something else. It has suspense. And whenever you can have an action movie that has that much suspense, especially during the poker scenes, They're very slow paced. He's not in a big shootout with everyone, but that level of tension when he's playing poker with all the other people around the table, especially the villain, Michael Mads across the table, who just cries blood to make him more villainous. But, anyway, I digress. But that has so much tension to it, and all they're doing is playing poker. And that's, I think, another level to that movie. So I agree with you. Just talking about it makes me want to watch it right now. All right, let's go to the next one here. Andrew says, one word, John Glasses. No, actually, it's called keratoconus, right? So my pupil, since I've gotten older, just is misshaped now. And it's kind of a genetic thing. And there's really not much you can do about it. There truly isn't. You can get a glass contact lens. And yes, I did say glass. And that can help correct it. But you can't undo it. The only thing you can do is stop the progression of it, which mine sort of stopped naturally. Yeah, man, there's not much you can do about it. So I didn't even realize I had it until I went to the to get a new driver's license when, I don't know, maybe like 6-7 years ago. And they make you do the eye exam. And with each eye, they make you close one, open the other one, and read the letters. And with my right eye, once I went down there to read it off to get my driver's license, I was like, I thought I was like, the machine's broken. I guess I just didn't realize my eye had gotten that bad. So, but it's been the same for like the last 8 years. So I've kind of gotten used to it. I kind of squint a little bit. If you see me on YouTube squinting one eye when I talk, it's not because I'm about to have a stroke. It's just this right eye just sees better than this one. So, okay, let's go to this. Let's go to the next question. And the next question comes from Night King 01, who says, John, I must be living under a rock. Vince Gilligan has a new show coming out in 2025 with Rhea Seehorn, and it's a sci-fi. I'm ready to experience this now. Yeah, man, I'm surprised you didn't know that. I thought you just gobbled up everything in the entire universe relating to movies and random early action movies starring Steven Seagal. I know you, Night King 01. I'm surprised you didn't know that. Well, I'm glad you do now, man. Silvio says, nothing, but thanks for being a member for 18 months. Yay! Andy says, have you seen Hundreds of Beavers? And just to clarify, it's a movie, you weirdos. It's free on YouTube. Just remember to turn on the ad blocker. So here's the thing. And listen, just hear me out for a second. I know people like this movie. I watched the trailer 3 or 4 times, and I just don't find it funny. I get the comedy. I do. I understand it. I'm a guy who can laugh at just about anything. But there's something about this that just doesn't do it for me. Now, if this was a short film that was 10 minutes long, that would work. But I don't know if I can bring myself to watch a 2-hour feature film with people in beaver suits running around. I get it. I truly understand. It's so quirky and weird and unique that it works. I can comprehend that. But damn it, I'd rather just rewatch Lord of the Rings, okay? All right, let's go to the next one. One day I'll probably, you know what I'll do? I'll give it 10 minutes. I'll watch the first 10 minutes. If it doesn't hook me, if it doesn't sell me, I'm out. How's that? I'll give it a fair shake. Did you know a beaver and a woodchuck are the same thing? And even if they're not, don't you correct me. Okay, the next one comes from Night King 01 back again says, well, Michael Collins came out in 1996. I meant to say that period films relax me. Also some war films. Master and Commander relaxes me, The Patriot as well. I don't know why. Those should be tough watches, but they fly by and are extremely entertaining. No, I agree with you. I find Forrest Gump relaxing. I find movies like Castaway relaxing. And I'll tell you what it is. Whenever I can just settle down and a film has certain sequences and scenes where it's just characters living in the moment, I think that's probably what you might find psychologically relaxing about these films. Now, hear me out for another second as I expand on such a point. I missed you guys. It's fun talking like this. I don't talk like this in real life. It's fun. But in The Patriot, you have those 1700s time period movies and you have those vibes, and it's just characters kind of walking around with the sunset. They're not on their phones. There's not a lot of traffic. It's just people walking around in landscapes. And as a human being, we relate to that. That is soothing and relaxing. We don't need car chases and shootouts all the time. Sometimes when movies just take their time and have a character explore nature or even walk through it on the way to a battle, just those few precious moments are phenomenal. Every scene in Castaway, when he's just sitting there on the beach, sort of looking into the distance, yeah, in the back of your head, you know this guy's stuck alone on an island, and that's very depressing, and he has nothing to eat, and he's shriveling up like a piece of beef jerky with nothing but ice skates and a volleyball to keep him company. But on the other flip side of that, it's almost soothing in a way. And that's why I watch Castaway multiple times throughout the winter. It relaxes me. It takes me to a tropical beach. And plus, when he's starving to death on that island, I love just going to my fridge and making a pizza and eating it. Oh, I'm like, oh, this is so much better tasting now. So anyway, that might be one reason. The movies just take their time in certain scenes where you can just kind of relax and get acclimated to it. Okay, let's go to the next one. And the next question comes from Jenny G, who says, can you rank all of the 2024 movies you saw in 2024? Oh my God. Can I be honest with you guys? I'm going to tell you this right now. And I don't even remember the name of what I had to call it. I did make a Letterboxd. People have told me a billion times, John, get on Letterboxd, whatever. I got on there a few weeks ago. And I had to, because all the flick pics were taken, I had to call it like something stupid. I don't even remember what I called the username at this point because I had to call it something so stupid. It was like flick pick something something. I'm like, I can't even remember what this is called. How is anyone else going to? So I'll never talk about it. But I did spend 3 hours that night as I laid in bed picking out I ranked every single movie I've seen. Well, I got to like number 1500 or something and then finally gave up. But I went through and gave a star ranking to all these movies I had seen. And then I fell asleep. And so if you're having problems falling asleep, go rank every movie that you've seen on Letterboxd. It'll definitely help out if you have insomnia. But no, my point is, I don't remember every single movie I've seen in 2024. I did make a top 10 best and worst list just today. And I'm like, okay, those are good. But to even get to that, I had to go to IMDb and like look through all the movies that came out this year because I can't remember what I watched 2 weeks ago. By the way, I did see Sonic 3 in the theater. I went to the latest showing they had to avoid every kid that would possibly go see it. And I will say, it was fine. I didn't hate my life, but I just would never watch it again. And I'll say this about the Sonic movies. Sonic is the worst thing about those movies. Everything else is interesting. I want to see everything else happen. I care about everyone else's storylines, especially Eggman, played by Jim Carrey. The thing I least care about in a Sonic movie is Sonic. I think he's a really boring character. Am I all alone here? Let me know. Let's go to the next question. And the next one comes from Robert Giacinta, who says, ever seen Feed? Man kidnaps women, straps them to a bed, and records them as he force feeds them food till they die. I am notating that right now. Watch Feed You Need. Okay. I'll put that there. I don't think I have. For some reason, that sounds super familiar to me, though. Okay, came out in 2017. Okay, I'm going to watch this. Why have I never... This looks so familiar, though. I feel like I've seen a scene of it. Okay, I'm going to check it out, man. No one talks about this. Is Feed good? Do you guys like it? Do you guys recommend I watch Feed? Let me know. All right, the next one comes from Matthew Castellanos, who says, John, I live in California. Keep me in your thoughts. You are in my thoughts, man. Good luck with you. I get it. Listen, people always say, well, they know there's a fire coming. Why don't they just leave? Yeah, well, shit costs money. Like, where do you go? You stay in a hotel that costs $400 a night? What do you do? Like, I don't know. So, yeah, hey, I hope you stay safe, man. Hope that shit blows out quick. And I think like the ocean's right there. Just pump that water onto the fire, baby. Maybe that's simplifying it too much, but I'm just saying. All right, Better Call Maul says, have you ever been alone in a room with Campia? I have not. I've never been. I think I've seen Campia once. Did I? I remember the Collider crew were at a screening of Split in Los Angeles, and I was there doing a hosting gig for Screen Junkies. So I want to say he was there. Maybe I'm mistaken, but outside of that, I've never met the guy, and I may have seen him in a movie theater once. That's it. Claudia Rogajon says, question for you. Do you ever get tired of watching so many good movies that you just have to do a marathon of bad movies? Because I'm in that phase right now. I can tell you it's a lot of fun so far. I get what you're saying. Well, sometimes you can't just watch Lord of the Rings and T2, Judgment Day, and Gladiator. Sometimes you got to wash the taste out of your mouth. And for you, Claudio, I would say that's like Transporter too. Anyway, man. Yeah, I get what you're saying. You have to, for every 3 great movies you watch, you have to watch a mediocre or really bad movie. And by the way, once again, that's what I'm hoping Flight Plan is. Can you guys hear me? Does that sound better? Does that sound a little better? Let me know. Okay. Does that sound, let me know if that sounds better, or is it too loud? Let me know. It's 2006, John. Oh, well, I read something that said 2017, man, for feed. Okay, but I'll look into it. The Cali Kid says, what are your favorite A20? Oh, my favorite A24 movies. I think that's what you're going with. Yours are Strange Darling, Bike Riders, Furiosa. Oh, I'm sorry. I completely read that wrong. My favorite 2024 movies. You abbreviated 24, so it confused my brain. I'm sorry. So your favorite 2024 movies are Strange Darling, The Bike Riders, Furiosa, Challengers, and Dora. I'm sorry, Anora and Dora. And Dora. Oh, gosh. Immaculate, Godzilla, X Kong, Heretic, Nosferatu, A Complete Unknown, The Beast, The Substance. Well, you know, a few of mine would probably definitely be The Substance. I think Furiosa will be in there. Challengers will be in there. I just rewatched that a few weeks ago. I hated Godzilla X. I hated that movie. When they opened it up and King Kong puked PS2 video game graphic puke that was green, I was like, I don't want to watch this anymore. I liked Heretic. Nosferatu, I liked it. I don't think I loved it, but I loved the visuals and the atmosphere. I think it's a great remake, but to put it in my top 10 for any other reason outside of those things, I don't know. I did not get around to watching A Complete Unknown yet. So I like Strange Darling. I really did like that. That was a great cat and mouse type movie. Those never get old to me. So do I have my list right here? What else did I have on there? Oh, you know, one I'm going to put up my top 10 this year, and I don't care what anyone says. You like stupid comic book movies, but then again, I also have The Substance in there, so that would be a blatant lie. I think Deadpool and Wolverine I'm putting in there. I enjoyed that. That was actually a comic book movie that I enjoyed watching in the theater, and it's been a while since I've seen one of those. And I just love the dynamic, the odd couple between Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds. I think it was a good time. It's a comic book movie that I could rewatch randomly, or somebody could have it on halfway through, and I would sit down and kind of just watch it. And those types of movies just are rare these days to me. So I throw that in there. Okay, the next one comes from Night King 01 once again. I hope to God that on this channel, I'm not only remembered for Steven Seagal, I'm remembered for great movies that you've never seen to watch, like The Driver. Well, that you never seem to watch, like The Driver. I'm just kidding, by the way. Also, Michael Collins is truly underrated. I'll check it out, man. But no, you're a legend here, Night King 01. You are a legend. And I thank you for your many years of service, gratitude, and friendship. So thank you, and God bless. You want some insight? And Night King 01 and Claudio Rogajon, you guys are in this together. People who casually watch my live streams, like my wife or some of my friends, they know your names. So there you guys go. All right. The next one.
What is the most hyped you've ever been for a movie? Mine was Batman v Superman
Hear my
when
robot?
it was first announced until the first trailer with Jesse Eisenberg and Doomsday, and my excitement it died. Smiley face.
Nothing better than a robot reading off an emoji. I will get to that question in just 1 minute. Every time someone super chats $10 or more, I hear a robot voice ask the question, and I still can't figure out how to get you guys to be able to hear that. It plays out of my speakers, it just won't play my software. I'm sorry. I'm getting old. I don't know how to use technology anymore. Okay? All right, let's go to the next one here. But I will get to your question, man. Actually, let's just get to it now. Real Still Fitness asks, what is the most hyped you've ever been for a movie? Mine was Batman v Superman when it was first announced until the first trailer when Jesse Eisenberg and Doomsday. My excitement died. Well, I actually have a trailer reaction of that trailer, and you can literally see my excitement die. Google that shit sometime. But I will agree. That's one movie I will agree with you on. I will go back a little further in time, but I'm a Batman nerd. I love Batman. And the most hyped I ever was for a movie, it might have been The Dark Knight or The Dark Knight Rises, if I really think hard on it, because there was a fan site called BatmanMovieNews.com that I was a subscriber and a contributor in the forums to, that I would go to on a daily basis with any minute update. And keep in mind, this was long before the days of Twitter or X or other social media outlets where you could just easily obtain this information. You had to seek this shit out on forums and crazy minute spaces of the internet. But I remember going to this fan page every day, just reading about anything and talking about people that had theories. And I remember on the Yahoo movie chat forum thing or whatever, Yahoo Movies chat room, forums, whatever you want to call it. I remember getting into a heated debate with some kid about where the bat pod comes from, because they were making the argument. I was trying to make the argument that the bat pod actually comes from the tumbler, because I looked at the tires in the bat pod, and I may have technically measured them in Photoshop and did a comparison. But anyway, I just felt like it was going to come from the tumbler. It looked like a product of that. And I got in so many heated debates in late 2007 with people about this. Or maybe it was earlier, I don't remember, but I was right, damn it. I was right. It did come from the tumbler after the Joker blew it up. So, what was your question? Yes, so that was probably the most excited I've ever been for a movie. Fascia Brutta says, favorite frozen pizza, mine's DiGiorno. I like DiGiorno. Sometimes I like the cheap stuff, though, man. Sometimes you get a Tombstone. Yeah, the crust tastes like cardboard, but nevertheless, it just adds to it. So I like a Tombstone, but I just got one. It was called like Motor City something, and it has like a deep dish crust on it, or deep dish, whatever. And I thought that was pretty good. I'm typically not a fan of that much crust, but it worked for that. Better Call Maul says, Campia looks like a variant of Benjamin Button. Okay. I get what you're saying, man. Can I tell you something? Oh, God, what is the movie? What is the show called? What is this called? Here it is. Oh, come on. Why you want to just... There's a TV sitcom. This is unbecoming at this point. Why am I scrolling through this right now looking? You know what? No, that's not it either. Wait, I gotta find it now. Oh god, that's not it either. Why can't I not find what this is called? There's a sitcom about a middle-class family, and I know that doesn't narrow down anything. That there's 500 shows that could be. But there was a little kid who had like a handicap. He wasn't handicapped. Well, he was. He had an issue where he couldn't grow all the way, and he always kind of looked young. And he had a really high-pitched voice, but he was like a live-action version of Stewie. Can anyone help me out? Oh God, somebody help me out. Why I'm having such a brain fart right now. Just let someone help me out with that. Okay, let's go to the next question. The Middle. Yes. The Middle. And then, what's his name? The Middle. Well, the actor's name, what is it? Yeah, no, that's not it. Why is it showing me Dewey? Oh, well, whatever. The little kid from the middle. He always reminded me of John Campia. Yeah, I gotta show you guys. Just we gotta do this. Hang on. This is needed today. We're gonna do it. We're gonna do this. And you guys are going to say thank you after I do it. Or at least you better. Okay. And by the way, on a side note, why is it so hard to find a JPEG image on Google these days? It's always one of those, the other file types that don't work. I'm like, why does this exist? I can't do anything with it. Okay. Hang on. I'm adding a new picture here. Give me a moment because I want you guys to enjoy this with me. Okay, you can see that, right? So somebody asked me if John Campia reminded me of a child. And that is my answer to you right there. I'm sorry, but once you see it, you can't unsee it. All right, I will leave that there for a little bit so it can all sink in and let it resonate with you. Deep into your souls, let that resonate into every crevice and every pore. Yes, he reminds me of a brick in the middle. Yes, that's it. Okay, that was the longest. I'm sorry you guys had to witness that for the last 5 minutes. I will go quicker, I promise. Belle Alltop says, what's your favorite aisle at the grocery store? I quite enjoy, I like to walk through the produce section, but I rarely buy anything. But the only reason I walk through it is because it has the donuts by the bakery. And when I go to the bakery, I grab an apple fritter donut or a box of them, and I love eating them in the morning. It's glorious. Skylar Wheelock says, so Jason Momoa is Lobo alongside Millie Alcock and the younger Rhaenyra Targaryen from the House of Dragon. Khal Drogo sure loves his Targaryen women. Well, that's quite the connection, and I kind of like it. I do agree with you. That is quite the connection. No, as far as the news of, I will keep that up a little bit longer. I just want you guys all to really enjoy it. By the way, I like to think if Tiny Todd was a real person, that's what he would have looked like as well. So there's that. So as far as Jason Momoa as Lobo, I think that's been speculated on for like the last 10 years. Everyone and on every forum has always said make him Lobo, and then they made him Aquaman, which was, I guess, a choice. Thanks, Zack Snyder, for that. But no, I think he's playing the part he should. I just don't know if people want to see Lobo. I think there's a way to present that character and make him really cool and likable and like edgy and be one of those cameo characters that show up in movies. And but I don't. I'm just surprised we're getting Lobo at this point. That seems like something that should have happened 10, 20 years ago. But nevertheless, I think it's really interesting that they're putting Lobo and Supergirl in a movie. But it's almost the contrast that you need. So You kind of have like this rough edge type character with this very well-to-do proper woman. I could see that being the dynamic to some degree. And then he becomes the lovable protector almost. Okay. But why would Supergirl need a protector? I'm not quite sure. All right, let's take this off now. It's terrifying me. Skylar Wheelock says, so George Miller is the front runner to direct Thor 5. Does that have your attention now? George Miller is directing Thor? What? Really? Okay, you know what? That does have my attention, and it also has my curiosity, because I guess they must have just enjoyed the chemistry that they had as a director and an actor on Furiosa. So, okay, I dig that. The other thing that I think would work brilliantly for Thor 5 is George Miller, with his style of filmmaking, he sort of has this fantastical look to it, but it also has this grittiness. And, you know, to think about it, isn't that exactly what Thor should be? Isn't that what it feels like it's sort of been lacking? So I think that's actually a really good choice. And you know it's going to be brutal and over the top, so I don't think I could think of a better director right now for a Thor 5 movie that would make me give a shit about a Thor 5 movie. So I give that a thumbs up. Now, my biggest question is, will it have screaming goats in this movie? I don't know. All right, let's go to the next one. Real Steel Fitness says, what is the most high... Well, we answered this already. Snuggle Puff McGee says, would you rather have a vagina on your forehead or a row of penises down your back like a stegosaurus? You know, it's great questions like that make me ponder life. It really is. Could anyone really take you... Nah, how do I say this appropriately without getting canceled? How do I say it? I think if I had a vagina on my forehead, my views would be better on YouTube, but I don't know if I could respect myself in society. So let's go with the other one. All right, Ricardo Franco, greetings from hell. How's it going, Ricardo? Man, a longtime viewer of the channel. Ricardo is a good buddy of mine, and he lives in LA, where he actually, and I saw his Twitter today. In his neighborhood, every house in the neighborhood was destroyed by fire. And then you see this camera view, house after house is destroyed, and then his house was the only one saved. So congrats to Ricardo, man. Thanks for joining me, buddy, and I'm glad everything is going well. But yeah, Ricardo's I've met Ricardo a few times over the last few years, and a super nice guy. So I'm glad things kind of worked out as good as they could, but. That still sucks, nevertheless, man. But thanks for joining me, man. Thank you so much. And everyone say hello, Ricardo. All right. And by the way, I'm still thinking about the vagina on your forehead question. Like, I just. Anyway, Night King 01 says the movie I sit on. Nosferatu, the more I hate the film. I might be in the minority, but Nosferatu's story is so plain and bare bones that it does not need over 2 hours to tell it. The Werner Herzog from 1979 is far better, and it's only an hour and 40 minutes. I kind of agree with you, and where it did take its time was in the love, spell, possession, third act area. And I was like, okay, we're just going to keep doing this for the next 25 minutes? I get it. But I wanted more. I wanted to see more of Nosferatu himself. I wanted to see more of his castle and his lifestyle. Give us some more insight to that. And I just always felt like that scene was so short-lived, even in the original and even the remake you speak of. I was hoping we'd take more time establishing him and giving some insight to like how he functions as a vampire. I'm not saying give it all away, but I thought that was where the movie should have utilized more runtime, not the I'm possessed and I'm all crazy and wild. Johnny Depp's daughter, whatever her name is. It's like, I get it. You got a thing for vampires. All right. The next one comes from Darth Maul's Balls, who says, John, is there anything Fast 11 can do to get you on board? Does bringing back The Rock do anything for you personally? I don't think it hurts anything. If you're going to be bloated and over the top, at least put The Rock in there to solidify everything. But if they go back to not making it look like their cars are spaceships and Transformers are about to pop up out of the ground and help save the day alongside them, if they go back to something a bit more gritty and grounded with a little more nuance, that would be good. You know, for me, I felt like with Fast 5, that was the last that was as over the top as they ever should have gotten. I was like, okay, I can live with what you're doing here. At the end of the day, it's just a couple cars trying to drag a safe down the road. There's some over the top action, but it still feels like it comes from a place on planet Earth where gravity kind of exists. Kind of. And then everything after that just went bigger and dumber, and it just took me out of the series. So if they went the opposite direction they went for the last 5 movies, maybe. But then again, I haven't even watched the last 3 movies. I can't bring myself to do it. All right. Bruce Cook says Supergirl wasn't the mess with Helen Slater in 84 enough. Yeah, I think this new incarnation might be better. I mean, plus they're throwing Lobo in the movie. Come on, man. But Helen Slater, wasn't she Billie Jean in the movie Billie Jean? I love that movie. All right. Let's go to the next one here. Broomstickles says, hey, John, will you still be doing live streams 50 years from now? I'll be 78 and need something to watch. Probably, because I'll need people to talk to, because I'm just going to get weird and creepier and more recluse than I've ever been, and I won't leave my house, and I'll just live in my underwear all day. And then at some point I'll forget to put underwear on. So in 50 years, I'll be like 98 or something? 97? In 50 years? No, that's wrong. Wait. 47, 57, 67, 77, 87. I'll be 87. I'm not a mathematician. I'm just a guy who talks about movies on YouTube, okay? So I'll be 87 in 50 years. Yes, but it makes you wonder, how advanced will technology truly get? How will you consume content? I'm sure you can still broadcast your thoughts, your opinions, but is it going to be in video format? Will you look at a screen, or can I just Bluetooth my thoughts to your brain when you subscribe to them? Where you just go, okay, let me have those thoughts. Boop. And oh, that was good. Okay. He's weird. Okay. Unsubscribe. And then you go on with your day. I don't know. But I will, if I can, I will. How's that? And by the way, the other question I have is, what will films look like in 50 years? What will movies look like? That could be good or it could be terrifying. All right. Broomstickles. So thank you for the question. All right. I think that's going to wrap up the live show here. Let me refresh the chat. If you guys have any other things you want to throw in the chat there, I'm looking and I'm listening right now. You can share your thoughts, your opinions. We got some members in here. And if you guys are members, please chime in. Now is the time. We got Jordan. We got Bruce. We had somebody else up here earlier. John B. PNG. No. I wish everything you download on Google could be a JPEG or a PNG. That's what I want them to be. But they're always like AVI files. So you can't download it and throw it into your editing software. It's completely useless. Yeah, just one more time. Oh my God. I'll call this my John Campea cameo. Okay. I'm just kidding. He's way better at live streams than I'll ever be, okay? All right. The Neuralink chip will do that. Yeah, it's getting to that point where we're just going to upload data instantaneously into our brain. But at some point, I don't mind that. But maybe movies won't be enough. We're going to need more stimulation. We're going to need to be in the story. And at what point does it become too much? Jordan Kudajar says, are you hyped for Stranger Things Season 5? It's supposed to come out next year. Oh, I'm super hyped for it. Stranger Things are one of my favorite series of all time. I read Reddit forum rumors about Stranger Things 5. Highly, highly anticipating it. Looking forward to it. I can't wait. I can't wait just to like consume it and binge it. But I hope what they do, and I hope they do exactly what they did for the last season of season 4 of Stranger Things. I hope they release everything except for the final few episodes. They wait a few weeks, let everyone consume those episodes, build up the hype and the suspense. That way someone can't just binge it and spoil the shit for everybody. And then they wait a few weeks and release the finale of the show. And plus, I like that. I like taking your time in between episodes of things. So, to put it lightly, yes, I'm definitely looking forward to Stranger Things. Daniel Martin says, John, can the CBM comic book movie genre do anything else to be game changing, or have we seen the zenith already? They feel they feel completely inspired for a while now, and they are, and that's because they are. I mean, you look at what Marvel was crapping out a couple years ago with Ant-Man Quantumania, the Marvels, Thor, Love and Thunder, and you think, man, how did we get to this point? We've devolved into muck. So I think I think a good story will always be a good story, and I think we just need more of them. I really do. I think that genre will always live as long as you have a good story to tell. And at some point, Marvel will get to the point where they revamp everything and reboot it all. But until we get to that point, we still have an entire X-Men universe to explore from Disney's, I guess, perspective or point of view. And, with what Fox did with X-Men, they had some good ideas. Some of them were okay. But I'm looking forward to a new incarnation of X-Men. And I'm just hoping that they handle it with care and respect that it deserves. Because I think exploring the X-Men live action universe again from an actual like comic book perspective, oh man, that gets me so excited. So if they can do that right, that's another 15, 20 years of movies, like no problem. So with all that said, yeah, I'm still excited. I just think people need to care again. I think that's the problem. And stop trying to appease everyone, because when you do that, you appease no one. All right. Bradley Cooper says, what are your thoughts on stool softeners? Hey, been there, done that, man. You just need to hydrate more. You need more hydration, and take a walk around the block. You'll be okay. But yeah, you need it every once in a while. Jay Flick says, are you going to see Den of Thieves 2? I didn't really love Den of Thieves 1. It felt like the poor man's wannabe version of Heat. I know some people like it. I get it. And I don't know. Maybe at some point. John, were you just channeling Troll 2? At what point? When I screamed, oh my God? A while ago, I might have been. JD Review says, will we be getting a review of Dogman at the end of the month? Dogman? What the fuck is that? What is Dogman? Oh, yes, Dogman, the upcoming movie I won't watch. Is this, okay, what is it? Yeah, probably. I don't know. Do I want to watch this? Maybe. It looks pretty awesome, man. I'm not gonna lie. But probably not. Just looking at that little GIF I looked at for 3 seconds seemed sufficient. Brett Alltop says, hello from Akron, Ohio. Why you used to live right above Akron, Ohio in Stowe, Ohio. For a couple years. Akron's a crazy place, man. I don't necessarily miss it. Yeah, Forrest says we need X-Men in the MCU to freshen things up. We do. It's like we did everything we can with these Marvel characters. You might have one or two movies to shit out, but we need to go a different direction. But with that said, I'm sort of strangely really looking forward to the next like Avengers team up movie. I'm looking forward to Doomsday. I really am. Like I think that could be a lot of fun. I'm not saying it's going to be great. I'm not going to say it's better than Endgame or something, but it seems like it could be a good time. And I'm sure with Doomsday, I'm willing to bet, much like Infinity War, Doomsday wins that battle. And then of course we go to the next Avengers movie, Strange Wars, and I'm sure they overcome all of those trials and tribulations and win once again. But nevertheless, Jay Flick says, did you know there's a movie on Hulu with Amy Adams called Night Bitch? I did. I know all about Night Bitch. I just haven't seen it yet. I haven't heard many good things on the movie. All right. I think that's going to wrap up the live stream right there. But once again, guys, I want to say big thanks to everybody who joined me tonight. Big thanks to M. Way too generous. I hope you're doing well, man. And one day, if you ever want to slide into my DMs and share that secret identity, I'd love to know. Just out of curiosity. I'm a curious guy. But anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for the questions. Thanks for hanging out. And thanks so much. And with all that said, first live stream of 2025. We made it. We got this far. Let's keep going. Hope you guys are having a great year so far. Let's continue it. And I'll see you guys very soon with some top 10 videos and another live stream where we can talk about a more structured live stream maybe next time. Or we can just keep rambling on about randomness in life. But nevertheless, it's called Secret Wars. Yes, that's what I said, right? Either way. Thanks for watching, guys. Stay safe, and I'll see you next time. Bye. One more question, champion. I don't leave anyone behind. I saw this just pop up. John, thoughts on Freddy Got Fingered and Jack and Jill? My son could eat a chicken sandwich. I remember seeing Freddy Got Fingered in the theater, and I saw it during my 14th birthday party. We went to go see it, and I thought it was fine. I liked Tom Green quite a bit at the time, but I was like, this feels like he's even trying too hard. Jack and Jill, I saw it once. I hated it. Those are my thoughts. So with all of that said, Daddy, would you like some sausage? Daddy, would you like some sausage?